I'm gonna bring to you a read aloud. It's a really cool one. It's called Verdi, and it's about a python. And we're gonna figure out ways that he changes, why he changes, and a lesson that he learned in this story. But before we get started, let's go ahead and champ out our lesson and do our We Are Learning target so we know how this lesson should be.
Here we go.
C, on a 0 voice level. So you are focused and calm. Find your favorite area in your house, apartment, wherever, and get real cozy and comfy. If you need help, I want you to ask me, send me an email, comment to me in our Google Classroom, and I promise I will get back to you. Our activity is our rap strategy. We're gonna use our rap strategy where we restate, answer all parts, and prove our answer when we're doing writing and reading, or writing after we read. Movement, quiet hands and quiet feet. I want a focused body while you're listening to this, okay? Because there will be some participation at the end because I'm gonna leave a couple questions down below this video so you can answer them and I'll know if you've participated or not. I better put the book down for this part. We are learning, you ready? Mirror. We are learning to identify the main idea.
So we can
2 things, here we go. Compose a summary and prove with evidence. So wicked, rewrite. We're gonna use rap, restate, answer all parts, and prove it so we can make a summary with our restate, our beginning, our middle, and our end, right? And we're gonna identify each part. And we're gonna prove it because we're gonna know what's happening to be able to use details in our text. So let me move you back over a little bit and give you a little bit room so you can see the story. All right, here we go. This is called Verdi. I want you just to look at that front page and see what you might notice. This is a perfect time for you to talk to a parent, a friend, brother, sister, and tell them what you see. Then I'm gonna show you one more really cool picture in this book that will give you a little bit of a hint and a little inside look of what might happen. So I'm gonna give you a little peek. And look at this page. What do you notice? What does it look like Verdi is doing? Think out loud and talk out loud. You can do it to yourself, to an adult, to a friend, whoever's in the room with you, and take a good look.
Are you ready to read? Let's do this.
So this is called Verdi. Before we actually read, I'm gonna show you a couple important words that I picked out from this book that might sound a little confusing to you because normally people don't usually use these words. So let's tackle those first. Our first word is frantic. Say it, whisper it. Yes, frantic means wild or rush behavior when you're in a hurry. So it's like crazy behavior, wild behavior, probably not good behavior, especially when you're in a hurry, okay? And I have a little sentence frame on here for you too. So it says, the student was frantic because, think in your head, when might someone be frantic? I thought the student was frantic because they didn't do Miss C's homework. Or the student was frantic because they were running in the hallway. Something that would cause wild and crazy behavior, right? Our second vocab word is snicker. Say it, whisper it. And not a snicker like a candy bar, it's like a ooh, one of those Snickers. So here's the definition. Snicker, to laugh quietly and disrespectfully at someone. So do you think it's a good thing to snicker? No, it's not. It's kind of rude and disrespectful. It's not a good thing to do in any situation. So here's a sentence frame to dive a little bit deeper to this vocab word. The 4th grader snickered because, why might someone snicker at someone? We know it's not good, but why might they snicker at someone? That's a good idea. Okay. The 4th grader snickered because someone tripped in the hallway. Or the 4th grader snickers because someone dropped their food. It does not mean that it's a good thing to do. But some people snicker, and Verdi right here might be snickering. So before we read, let's dig in one more time to that big question because it's really important for you to have that in the back of your brain right here because we're gonna be answering a big question using our rap strategy. So I want it in your head nice and close. It is, What lesson or theme did Verdi learn? So what lesson did he learn after we get through this story? Because he definitely learned one, and it's our job to figure it out and to prove it. So to help you as a review, remember those shapes that we use in our classroom at school. We use that green triangle for the beginning to talk about what happened in the beginning with the characters or with the setting or the problem. And that yellow rectangle for the middle to show what events take place, what changes take place. And the red circle at the end of the story means stop. And to talk about, was the problem solved? How are the characters? Did the characters change? And the big blue star is for our theme. What lesson did the main character learn? What did Verdi learn? You got it in your brain? Here we go, let's do it. Verdi. Here we go, guys. Let's see if you can see. I can scoot back a little bit. Here we go. Got it? On a small tropical island, the sun rose high above the steamy jungle. A mother python was sending her hatchlings out into the forest, way along like all mother pythons do. Grow up big and green as the trees' leaves, she called to her yellow babies as they happily scattered among the trees. But Verdi dawdled. He was proudly eyeing his bright yellow skin. He especially liked the bold stripes that zigzagged down his back. Why the hurry to grow up big and green, he wondered. Maybe some of the older snakes in the jungle could tell him. Verdi ventured into the tree huts to look for them. So he's very proud of himself. And now he's decided to go on to an adventure. Umbles, Augie, and Ribbon were lazing on some branches nearby. Verdi peered at the droopy green bodies. It's not polite to stare, said Aggie. Umbles burped and groaned. Ugh, it's taken nearly 4 weeks for that last lizard to digest. I surely do like lizards, but lizards don't like me. Why don't lizards like you? Asked Verdi. Don't interrupt, Mumbles grumbled. Dear me, whined Aggie. If I don't shed soon, this itchy skin will drive me bananas. Verdi tapped a tune with his tail as he waited to speak. Stop that, Verdi. It makes me nervous. Ribbon complained. Besides, you'll never grow up to be properly green, always interrupting and constantly fidgeting. Verdi couldn't imagine being in such a hurry to be like them, and he really wanted to keep his sporty stripes. Hoping to find snakes that weren't so boring, Verdi slipped away. Dozer was snoring in a tree not far from the others. Hello, said Verdi. Do you want to climb trees with me? I'm tired, Dozer groaned. Go do a few laps around the jungle, okay? Verdi's heart sank. Greens were not only lazy and boring, they were rude. So we're learning some things about Verdi, and we're also learning some things about the characters that are called greens. At the top of a very tall tree, Verdi gripped one branch with his tail and another with his little snake jaws. I will never be lazy, boring, or green, he thought. I will jump and climb and keep moving so fast that I will stay yellow and striped forever. Then he let go. From a distance, the greens watched. Oh my, they chorused. Ribbon shook his head. At this rate, he'll be lucky to make it to his first molt. Augie nodded. He's likely to put an eye out on that branch. Umbles moaned. He may not live to turn green. But one day, Verdi's skin began to peel, revealing a pale green stripe stretching along his whole body. Gah! He gasped. How can this be? I'm the speediest snake in the jungle and I'm still turning green. He raced down to the river, grabbing up a mouthful of rough leaves. Now this next picture is the one I showed you before we were reading, so let's see if what you thought was right. Verdi flung himself into the water. If I can't run this green off, I'll scrub it off, he thought. So now he is changing, and his feelings are changing about something. Keep that in your brain. His frantic splashing caught the eye of a large bottom feeder cruising the murky depths. Yum, the old fish hummed. Lunch. Before the fish could haul Verdi under, the frightened snake bit him on the nose. Ah, pooh! With a blast of rubbery lips, the great fish sneezed, sending Verdi into the air. Slapping onto the soggy shore, Verdi skidded out of reach. Phew, that was close, he sputtered. Every inch of his body was covered with wet, gloppy mud. Kind of lumpy, kind of brown. It sure beats being green. He left the mud on. Why do you think he left the mud on? I wouldn't leave mud on after getting out of a creek or a pond like that. Why do you think he left the mud on? But the soft brown muck dried into a hard gray shell, and Verdi could barely move. If he even budged, the stuff cracked off in jagged chunks. As each piece flew away, Verdi could see that his body was even greener than before. "This is terrible," cried Verdi. He pictured himself hanging around in droopy loops, itching and complaining and worrying all day like the old greens. He looked up into the sky where the sun blazed a beautiful yellow, just the color he used to be. Then he pulled a vine to the top of the tree. So now all the mud came off. Launching himself from the tree top, Verdi started to a flock of colorful birds. He became dizzy with delight, sure the bright sun and his lofty speed would turn him golden again. In his joy, Verdi forgot he would fall back to earth. Whippery, whippery, flip, flap, wham! Plummeting through the trees, Verdi landed in a crooked sprawl across the log on the forest floor. He couldn't move. Help! So Verdi's being a little crazy and doing some wild things, kind of being a little frantic with his behaviors. All to avoid one thing. There's a clear problem going on in this story right now.
Do you know what it is? Let's keep reading.
As usual, the Greens had been watching Vertic's antics. They moved quickly to where he lay. "Didn't we say it would come to this?" Umble said, shaking his head. Augie sighed. "Lucky thing he's got two eyes." They gently lifted Verdi up into a safer place where they could watch over him as he healed. So now the Greens are coming to the rescue and helping Verdi. How would you describe the Greens? Think about that. Neatly splinted to a branch, Verdi had no choice but to listen to the Greens as they gabbed. "Remember how I used to streak across the forest floor? Quick as lightning. And I'd climb giant trees like they were nothing. The things I dared to run down and swallow. Wild boar were no match for me." Verdi was astonished. "You used to run and climb and hunt giant pigs? What happened?" "Ribbon crashed, just like you. I took a terrible fall and almost put an eye out. Then old Umbles here nearly choked to death. Now we all just prefer the quiet life. A warm perch, a little sunshine, and an occasional good meal." So there's Verdi all stitched up and he's stuck to the branch so he's nice and straight so he can heal. Finally, one afternoon, Umble said, "Looks like you're ready to go again." He carefully untied Verdi from the branch. "You are welcome to come with us," said Augie. Ribbon agreed. The three Greens slipped quietly back into the forest. Verdi wasn't ready to join them yet. He wasn't sure where he wanted to go, so he stretched and stayed put until the sun went down. He listened to the forest come alive. So now, instead of moving around and going crazy and acting frantically, Verdi's decided just to stay put for a little bit and think about what he wants to do next. Time had passed, and the sun and the moon took turns in the sky. Verdi marveled as the full moon grew thinner every night. Then he watched patiently as it slowly grew round again. He wondered why he hadn't noticed that before. Verdi became so green that he blended perfectly with the leaves. He was so still that the other creatures walked right by without seeing him. It is very hard to see him. So Verdi's definitely changing. And it sounds like we're kind of hitting the end of our story. One fine morning, as Verdi basked in the sunshine, two small yellow snakes approached. "Get a load of that, old green guy. Do you think he ever moves?" The other snickered. "I seriously doubt it. They're just like I used to be," thought Verdi. "And now I am what I was afraid to be." "How would you like to go climb trees with me?" Verdi asked. "With you?" The yellows astounded. "I'll even show you a fancy figure 8, Verdi replied, though he was a little worried about putting his eye out. With practice, the three snakes performed a perfect triple figure 8. Leaping and looping with his little striped friends, Verdi laughed. "I may be big and very green, but I'm still me. All right, guys, and that is the end of our story. So I definitely heard a lesson that Verdi learned, and I know I can prove it by what had happened in the beginning of the story with some characters in the setting and the problem, then what happened in the middle as Verdi was changing, and then what Verdi realized or understood and learned at the end. So I want to help you by giving you some sentence starters and a sentence frame to help you tackle this wrap strategy. So remember, wrap, restate, answer all parts, and prove it with what we learned in the events. So you ready? Let's tackle this. Here we go. So I know the question I am tackling is right here. It is, what lesson did Verdi learn? Now my first step in wrap is to restate. How do I restate this question? What lesson did Verdi learn? Oops, sorry. Lights went out on me. Yes, we have to turn this question into a statement. So I know I can take out my question word, then I can steal some other words. I could say, the lesson Verdi learned was blank, because I'm not telling you that part, okay? Then we gotta prove it. I know this because in the beginning, there's your space. Prove it, tell me what happened. Then in the middle, prove it, tell me what happened. And finally, in the end, what did he realize? Boom, and you've got it, guys. So let's review one more time. We did our restate. We took out our question words and we made it into a statement. The lesson Verdi learned was, remember, a lesson is something that you can take from this story and put it into any other story or movie that you can think of. It is not specific. It's very concrete and straight to the point. Remember, some other themes that we've talked about is kindness, being a bigger person, never stop, never quit, always try your best, trust yourself, never try to be anyone else, love who you are, or the golden rule, you know, things like that. So what lesson did he learn? And that's what you're gonna plop right here. Then you're gonna prove it in the three parts, in the beginning, in the middle, and the end. I know this because in the beginning, what happened to Verdi? What was he facing? What was the problem? In the middle, what happened? What was he trying to do? Or what was he trying to get rid of? And then in the end, what did he realize? What did he figure out when those other yellows, those young snakes came to hang out with him? Guys, it was so fun reading with you today. I cannot wait to see your rap responses. See you soon.